Hello, my name is Kelly and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and in this video we're going to do a little gratitude tile using the Zentangle method of drawing founded by Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas. And for more information on Zentangle, you can go to zentangle.com. You can also visit my page on Facebook, Let's Tangle. Okay, so we're actually using the Zentangle method for part of this, but it's really a Zentangle inspired art because we're going to do some other things that are not typical Zentangle. Most Zentangle tiles do not have words on them, but this one we're going to put some words of gratitude. Okay, I have a pen, my graphite pencil, I have a quarter, which I'm going to trace later, and then I grabbed a blue pencil. You don't need a colored pencil, but I'm going to add some color to this tile. So I have a Prismacolor, which are just a nice waxy, easy to use colored pencil. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to start with my pencil. And we're going to start by just taking a deep breath in and out. I'm just taking a moment to get comfortable. Put your feet on the ground, sit up straight. And we're going to start, as most Zentangle tiles do, with 4 dots in the corners. And I'm going to put it really close to the corner this time. I want lots of room in the middle to work in. And then I'm going to connect those dots with a pretty straight line today. I'm not looking for perfection, but just working with a little bit straighter line than normal. I'm going to do all 4 sides like that. Then I'm going to make another 4 dots. So I'm going to make 4 dots just inside each of those. And I'm kind of looking for a width smaller than my pencil. I don't need a lot of room on that border. I'm going to connect them in that same way, keeping it pretty small border. Again, I want a big space to work in inside. Okay. Right after I do that, I'm going to grab my quarter, and you can choose to trace it in the center. I'm going to trace mine a little bit off center, only because I know if I put it in the center and it's not exactly right, I'm not going to love it. So, and I'm just going to grab my pen for this. I'm doing it up towards the left, but I'm leaving room right here to be able to put a word in later. So I'm going to take my pen. You can do it in pencil first if you'd like. And I'm just going to trace that circle. Okay. I don't usually trace in Zentangle, but again, this is more of a Zentangle inspired art. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my pen now. Put my pencil away. And I'm going to aura inside this circle. So I'm just going to do a little aura right along the inside. Going nice and slow. It's okay if it's a little wiggly. And then on the outside, I'm just going to make some little tiny bumps, kind of like crescent moon, but I'm not going to color them in. And I'm working really small and intricate because, again, I want lots of space around the outside of this. I'm just going to very carefully make each one, and I'm stopping my pen each time and kind of lifting it. I'm not just making a bunch of bumps in a row really fast. Just making each line its own, just like that. And then very close to that, I'm going to add another aura. So I'm just going to go, and again, each of these is its own line. So I pick up, make the line, and stop. Just helps have a little bit more control. And feel free to turn your tile as you go. The nice thing about working on these 3.5-inch tiles is that you can spin them around. If you're working in a book, sometimes it's a little trickier to move the whole thing to get a comfortable angle. All right, that part is done. Okay, now I'm going to go back to that border that I did in pencil, and I'm going to do it in pen now. I did it in pencil first just because I want to judge how wide I made those lines. So if you get to this part and you realize that your border is too big, then with your pen just make it smaller. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to go on that outside line first. All 4 sides. Then I'm going to do the inside. And this one right here I made pretty wide, so maybe when I trace that, maybe I'll make it a little bit more narrow. We are going to draw inside there, so it can't be too tiny. Okay, and I'm going to grab, my eraser and just get rid of this first line I did. I don't care about having some of it there. Okay. All right, now we're going to work inside this part here. So I'm going to imagine a line going straight down here, right through the center of this object, not through the center of our paper, but through the center of this object. So I'm going to take my line and go straight down, jump up, and come out the other side. And then I'm going to do the same thing this way. So not through the center of my tile, but through the center of this object. I'm going to jump up and come out the other side. Okay. Now I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to do it in an X. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to go right through the center. Well, I'm not going to draw in the center, but I'm going to imagine a line in the center, and I'm going to come out the other side. Now, because I'm not going through the center of my tile, when I come out this side, I'm not going to end up in that corner. I'm going to end up a little ways away from it. Does that make sense? I'm going through the center of that object, not the center of my tile. So it happened to land okay up here, but down here it's going to come out not in the corner. Okay. Now we're going to do one this way. And when I do it this way, I'm actually going to make kind of a wavy line. Again, imagining that center and drawing a wavy line up to here. It's not going to end in the corner. And I'm going to imagine that line going through here and coming out that side. Now, if you want, if you feel like this is getting pretty full, you can stop right here. And this gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places to write things of gratitude. I'm going to keep going and adding more. So I'm going to put one right here, and I'm going to do kind of a really small wiggly line. And in the middle of this one. And now I'm kind of trying to just break these up in half. So I start right in the middle of those two, and I end kind of in the middle of the two on the opposite side. I'm just kind of watching again, like this one right here. I've got a straight line and I've got an angle. So when I do this, it's going to be more at an angle. I'm going to start in the middle of the shape and end halfway between the other two. Starting to look like a sunshine. If you're more comfortable doing those as straight lines or as larger curves, go ahead. It's basically our string, how we're dividing up our tile. Okay, now I'm going to go back inside these little bumps, and if I have room, I'm just going to put a little dot just to sort of add some dark ink. Give it a little bit of character. Just add those little dots, adds a lot. Okay. Now, if you've done Zentangle before, you probably know the Tangle of Flux. So I'm going to add some flux kind of to this bottom left and this upper right. And then in the middle, I'm going to write the word thankful. If you're not comfortable writing a word in there right now, you don't have to. But I'm going to put my word, I'm going to imagine this line as the middle of my tile. And I'm going to try to write my word and sort of have that imaginary line land mid-letter. And I'm just going to write thankful. This tile is just for me, not for anybody else. My handwriting does not have to be perfect. You can try it in pencil first. And typically when I put a word in, I kind of count the letters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which means about mid-tile. I should have had my N and K. Mine got a little squishy, that's okay. And I'm going to put that flux shape down here. So I'm going to start by making kind of a large flux in that top right and that bottom left. You could make it right in the middle, and the bottom and the top if you'd like. I just thought this was kind of pretty. So I'm going to put a little flux on each side. And then I'm going to add the little line inside each one. And then if you have lots of room in there, you could aura around flux, or you could add a little fescue. Let's kind of fill it in and make it pretty. On your letters, if you want to put a little dot at the edge of each, sometimes that makes it look a little prettier, a little more purposeful. You don't have to. Okay, now we're going to work on our border. So for our border, we're doing a pattern called Eke, E-K-E. I'll write that on the back when we're done. And for Eke, we're doing a series of cursive E's. So I'm going to start right up here in the top corner. It's hard to see with my camera angle. I'll start in pencil. No, that's not going to help. Okay. So I'm going to make these E's, and I'm going to space them out a little bit. And I'm not quite touching the top of that border. I'm leaving a little bit of space, because then we're going to come back through and we're going to do E's going this way in between each one. So just kind of a loop-de-loop border. If you have a different border you prefer, go ahead and do that. But I'm going to make these little E's, trying to reach up towards the top, but not quite touching it. Remembering to leave enough space in between for the opposite ones. Kind of pretty if you can make it hit a corner like that. I'm doing mine a little bit fast. I apologize. Feel free to pause the video and go at your own pace. Oops, there goes my quarter. Remember to breathe. Remember to focus on these letter E's. I'm going to slow myself down. Imagining them going straight up and down. And it looks pretty just like that. Kind of looks like Christmas lights. And I'm going to go back on the other side, and I'm going to add those E shapes in between those other ones. And again, trying to go tall. So when I come between these, I'm going to go way up and almost touch that line. And I'm trying to go straight up and down. I don't want those things to curve too much to the side. Straight up and down. I've been kind of into borders lately. There's so many fun border shapes or tangles that you can use as a border. And I'm going to do my last side. Again, feel free to pause if I'm going too quickly. You can see the difference in mine up here where I made them kind of closer together versus this one, a little bit more spaced apart. Okay, now it's time to fill in these lines over here. So this is a part that you don't have to write the words that I do. Start thinking of things that you are grateful for. I know it's been a crazy year, a lot of things going on in the world that are making us stressed and anxious. So think about things that make you happy, and they can be really big things, or they can be really small, silly things, anything that brings you joy. And if you only find 5 or 6 right now, then just write those in. You can always put in more later. So I'm just gonna start with a couple of things. So I'm gonna write sunshine, and I'm gonna do it in cursive. Just because I kind of like matching that curvy border. And if I think of a small one, like not small in meaning, but small, like a short word, like food. I should write good food, but I'm just gonna write food. And I'm gonna put it over here on this small spot that I've got. And on the big one, I'm gonna write family vacations. We had big plans this year to go to Hawaii. It didn't work out, so we went camping in the UP, and I think we had just as much fun and spent a lot less money. My family. Comfy clothes. So now you've got a couple of options. You can just keep adding all of your words and then being done. Or if you'd like, you can take an empty space and you can add a Zentangle inside there. So maybe inside this one, maybe I'll do a little ravel, which is that shape where you make a straight line and you make those curves around it. You don't have to do this. You can just write your words. But if you're following this video, you probably have a few favorite tangles. So go ahead and fill in a few areas. If you would like. This is meant to be relaxing. Don't overthink it. I'm going to fill in my extra spaces here with a little bit of dark. I'm going to add some more words. I'm going to put Zentangle on here. Grateful for that. Health. And maybe up here I'll add a Zentangle. Maybe I'll do some halaba. And if that's the best choice for this spot, but that's one I feel like doing. Kind of a small area to put halibut in, but it's fun to change things up a little bit, not always do our favorites. Do a couple more. Halibut is one of those that when you think you're done, try to put a few more in. Use that go behind method where you're jumping every time you get to a line. And I think because I darkened back here in Ravel, I'm going to darken those spaces in here. Just to kind of even out the tile a little bit. If you don't want to darken those middles, you could add some lines in there, just some stripes. Or you could just add things to the actual little roads, the halibut roads. Remember, even this coloring in is meant to be relaxing. Well, this is a great spot if you wanted to add your colored pencil if you had one. Try to go around my letters since I already made those. I like how that looks with the other dark spots on the tile. Couple more spots. And again, if you want to take time to add some words later, you can. You don't have to finish your tile in one sitting. Okay, let me think of a couple more things. I'm going to write friends. I'm going to write time. Seems very, very broad, but we all want time. We want time to relax. We want time with our families. We want time to do the things we enjoy. So I'm just going to put time on there. And then I think up here I'm going to add another tangle just so I can kind of have those three spots with some dark. So maybe I'll do some crescent moon. But maybe instead of making crescent moon the classic way, maybe I'll put some bigger bumps in there. Just to change it up a little bit. Big ones, some little ones, just for fun. Remember, this is always just you taking a tangle and making it your own. Those little hills in. And then I'm going to aura. And aura again in the middle. All right, a couple more words. Let's see. I'm going to say camping. And let's see, I did family, I did friends. I'm going to put nature. Lots of walks during COVID. Okay, and that's about it. I've got a couple more spots here. I could write a few more words. Let's see if I'll put music. And goodness, you'd think I would think of a million things. I'm gonna put my bed. I always feel good going to bed at night knowing I made it through the day. Okay. I'm gonna put my pen down. And I'm gonna grab the colored pencil. And I'm just gonna use my colored pencil to add a little bit of color to some of these spots that maybe I would normally shade in with a regular graphite pencil. So I'm just putting a little bit of color on the borders. Classic Zentangle does not usually use color, and I don't usually use color. I just felt like this tile could use a little something. So I'm going to go all the way around. And then I'm going to go on that inside line too. Leaving that center white. And if you have a tortillon, which is a blending stump, depending on what kind of colored pencils you use, you might be able to soften that a little bit. And it kind of does what the graphite pencil does, which is makes this look a little rounded, like it's got that dark color on the edges and the lighter on top. So go all the way around. Now I happen to have a new blending stump sitting here, otherwise I would just use my graphite one. It might add a little darkness to it, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to add some color to that center piece there. So I'm going to put it kind of thick, jumping over that flux part. Just doing that inside. And taking the stump. You can see how I just soften it a little bit. You can do this with your graphite pencil if you want, if you don't have a color. All right. And then maybe a couple of these, maybe I'll just put a tiny bit of color underneath an edge, just to sort of connect that. Not doing all of them, just fun to play a little bit. These Prisma pencils actually blend better if you take a white Prisma and use that as your blending tool. It's kind of interesting. Okay, and maybe you can put some color inside your tangles if you want, but that is our gratitude tangle. And I'm just going to put my initials on. We always put our chop somewhere. So put your initials on there somewhere. If I want, I can add a little graphite in the middle of those. Give it some thickness. Okay, I'll stop. I'm going to flip it over. On the back side, I always like to write the name of what I use. So I used Eek for the border. And I used a little bit of flux and some fescue. All right, and then we always write the date. Even if you're working in a book, write the date of when you made the tile. And I know we just made a gratitude tile with everything we're grateful for, but maybe on the back or the side of your page, write a little sentence about something going on in your life. I'm just going to write that it's Thanksgiving week. Just to remind myself that I made this during Thanksgiving. They also ask you to sign your work. So I know we put our initials, but you also can sign your name on it. And that is it. That's our gratitude tangle. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find lots of things to be grateful for this season. And thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.